Welcome, everybody, for attending our talk. I'm Steve Goody, co-founder and CEO of Pocket Radar. Today, we're going to do something pretty interesting, I think, for most of you. It's going to be a little bit of a panel conversation about the topic up there. The topic changed a bit compared to what was published in the printed materials, but it's I think you get the idea. What we're going to do is Luke April is going to be our moderator and query us, and then we'll have some Q&A at the end. So if you'd like to hold any questions until our last bit of the talk here, we'll go from there. So thanks again, and Luke, why don't you take it away?
There you go. All right, everybody. So as Steve had just said, today we're going to be talking a little bit about how various organizations, colleges, whoever it may be, might be able to use technology to get more out of their camps, clinics, tryouts, player evaluations more generally. Slanting it in the kind of the lens of how to be commercial with things, be tactical with things. We're going to work with some of the great partners up here in order to walk through some of these questions that we have. So first question that we have is for Neil. What have you seen as the biggest shifts in the way that business partners, obviously baseball, partner with each other? Companies, what have you seen?
Yeah, so SkillShark has been around for a number of years, and I'd say the biggest difference that I've seen is the companies. There were a lot of baseball-oriented companies 6 years ago who had the mindset of owning the data set themselves and not really wanting to share outside of the box. And SkillShark, ever since day one, has always been about opening up and being open to communicate with all of the best-in-class partners. And I definitely classify Pocket Radar as one of our best, if not the best-in-class partner that we could have. So it's about the sharing and openness of data. That is absolutely the trend, instead of the isolated islands of information that when people don't want to share. Yeah.
Solid. You want to give a little bit of context about what SkillShark does more generally?
Sure. So what SkillShark is all about is it makes youth athlete evaluations easy. So if you run a camp, our ideal customers are sport organizations or academies that evaluate athletes throughout the year. And if you're one of those customers who use pen and paper, some unfortunate person in your organization spends hours doing data entry twice, once on a paper and then again into a spreadsheet. So SkillShark allows you to do it right from a mobile app, take videos, add comments with the tap of a finger, and you can, for once in the kid's young athletic career, provide report cards back to the kids, automatically draft teams, provide individual development reports. It's been pretty amazing.
Fantastic. So the next question we got here is for Alex and Jordan. On the player development side, right? Because you guys are involved in the game, not from a commercial perspective, but more so working directly with players. How has the process of conducting evaluations and tryouts evolved over the last decade for you guys?
So I'll pick up and start. My name is Jordan Draeger. I'm the owner-operator of GoingYard Baseball Academy in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, which is conveniently where SkillShark is developed. So I've had the opportunity to work with Neil and the SkillShark team over the last 8 to 10 years. I started with the process with the evaluation process exactly the way that Neil presented it earlier. I was a pen and paper. I was conducting tryouts for my city, for my region. I was trying to complete about 1,200 player registrations and run them through tryouts. And it was a tedious process, but over the last decade, the development of SkillShark and the amazing technology that they've been able to develop with it has just made my job so much easier. I'm able to have all of my coaches sign into this app, eliminating all of the paperwork. And to see the report cards get kicked out at the end of it. So if our evaluation ends at 8 p.m. by 8:01, I've got report cards that I can send each of the kids. For me, what has been the most important on the development side is that it leaves no room for a dispute after the fact. When we're done our evaluation process, we have the metrics and we're able to share those with the kids and with the families. So if they have any questions as to why, like where they ranked, how their skills were assessed, we're able to access that information. We're able to go back in and show them an actual report card. So for me, the biggest development over the last decade has been that, we're actually able to give the kids something. Instead of them walking away with nothing at the end of an evaluation process, we're able to actually give them valuable information as to how they need to get better in order to make teams in the future. So that's been amazing for me.
And you're somebody that not only delivers that intel to your players via Neil's system, but you also utilize Pocket Radar, who's a partner of SkillShark, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So again, like the progression in that, even over the years, now with the most recent, like with the Pocket Radar Connect, I'll just kind of explain a situation. So our coaches that were doing the velo stations. So I've got, 2 or 3 different pitching mounds that are being evaluated with velo. That's a tedious process to look down at your paperwork, look up at the student, and, you don't catch everything. What the Pocket Radar connection has been able to do is now the coach can watch all 10 of the pitches, because there's a new API connection that just takes the Pocket Radar value that was given to you on the radar and automatically enters it into the app. So they don't need to look at the velo and record the velo into the app. It's already going into them so that they're able to make notes and do subjective scoring throughout the process as well. So that's been extremely helpful.
And that obviously helps from a management perspective for you. Like that's big for just management at scale. But on the maybe you could speak to this a little bit on the player development side of things. Like what does that do? Does it cause the kids to get jacked up? I mean, what's the big thing that you see when you leverage technologies like these out of the players?
Yeah, I think they get excited. So I president CEO of Fargo Youth Baseball, and we're a nonprofit organization. We have about 1,500 kids in our program, and using technology for a nonprofit is it's been different, but it's been good. And from the player development side, like what we're able to do with our tryouts, we're stuck to a boundary. And so with us, like if you live in another town, you can't come play in our program. And so on the player development side, we capture their tryouts, their data and stuff like that at a young age. And now we can actually utilize that information and show parents, coaches, okay, this is where you once were. Now here's where you are now. Now let's take you to the next stage. And so from the player development side, it's been huge for our program.
That's awesome. Excuse me. I got a question for Steve. So just generally real quick to provide some context here. Pocket Radar, huge tool in the baseball industry, used and loved by many. What's been the driving vision for the success of Pocket Radar? Obviously, you've got some new exciting stuff coming out that you're demoing downstairs right now, but overall, what's been the inspiration behind helping the players you have?
Well, this is our 16th ABCA, and from day one, all that time ago, the real core idea we had was, can we democratize high performance technology for sports and get it, into baseball and other sports, so that people that couldn't access accurate measurements, objective data, can we really bring that to anybody and everybody that wants it? And I can say, I think without exception, I think we've accomplished that for the most part. And I get to hear that every day here at the show, which is great. I get to hear how we've made a difference, and that's really the core reason we did the company, quite frankly. And as a follow-on to that, integrating with best-in-class partners like Neil with SkillShark and others through this connections we've now done with our latest technology, integrating us, we get sort of a 1 + 1 = 5 kind of outcome, where we can get solutions that not one of us can do together. When we put the pieces together, we create integrated solutions like these that can make a real difference when it comes to what happens actually on the field, in the tunnel, at the academy. And we're going to keep doing more and more of that. And that's been really one of the fantastic things that I love working with partners on, is these better, bigger solutions to make everybody's lives easier.
And Neil, I think you probably echo some of that sentiment that Steve just articulated, but what's been the driving force behind the growth and kind of vision of SkillShark?
Right. So right from day one, I'd say the key thing that we've always had is an open system, which I already talked about, and to also make a solution that's affordable. I've run a lot of ball evaluations myself, former ball coach, so I understand the pains that were involved with Tryouts, which is the whole reason why I came up with SkillShark to begin with. The driving force is making sure that the interface is user-friendly. And we talk to thousands of coaches that we're used for every sport around the globe that you can imagine. And we constantly are asking for their feedback. How can we make your lives easier? And very happy about our feedback process. We've got a lot of great feedback from the coaches that use us, and we just keep making our product better and better. So driving vision is to listen to the customer, I'd say.
And so we have two tech guys up here, obviously, who are committed to making great products for players, families, coaches, everybody, all the different stakeholders in the game. You guys are on the actual instructional side of things and admin side of things. What generally is the expectation from guys like you when it comes to tech integrated partners like these guys?
I would say generally my expectations are relatively low. It's not very often that you actually have, vested partners that want to make your life easier. So speaking to what Neil just said about listening to the customer, Neil and Steve take it on hand, like to make sure that my life actually gets easier with this process. So when I present a problem, like I've got my pitching coach's head down, so it's tough for him to do subjective scoring, and I bring that to Neil, that drives this type of partnership. He, comes together with the best in the business to make sure that that's problem is alleviated and we can move forward, right? So that type of progress and vision is very important, right? To help me on the ground floor actually make my life easier.
For me, it's relationships. And I met Neil at ABCA in Nashville a couple of years ago, and he asked, what do we do for our tryouts, and like how do we evaluate our stuff, and that's when our conversation started taking the next step forward, and that allows us to going through all the pre-wording that you can add into it. Let's show our evaluators how they can add. You can prep them before the tryout even begins and run through it, and it's made our lives just so more simple.
Obviously, baseball can be an old game at times with people who are reluctant to adopt new, innovative technology. I mean, what would you say to somebody who might be a little bit more reluctant to adopt some of these technologies? I mean, you guys are out there on the front lines. You're doing it. You're putting SkillShark's resources to the test. You're integrating Pocket Radar's technology. You're going to continue to integrate that technology. I mean, why is it so important for coaches to have a little bit more of an open mind and be willing to adopt this technology?
For me, I think it's it's time. It's this saves so much time and stuff like that, and like go through the demo. Like let Neil explain to you like how it's done. Like there's different levels to it. Like we're the basic level. I wish we could go on and do the more advanced stuff. But even at the basic level, it's awesome. Like I said, the more you can learn, change is hard. But believe in it, trust in your process, pick out what that goal is that you're trying to accomplish, and then work with Neil and his team and figure out like how you can accomplish that goal.
So you've got a non-for-profit organization, you've got a for-profit organization. Both of you have an interest in saving time, saving money, and of course reinvesting those resources in the development of your players, creating better outcomes and helping players to get better, get to the next level. That's obviously something that Pocket Radar is predicated on. Steve, do you want to talk a little bit just about how some of the new and emerging technology that you have is aimed to kind of reshape the way that coaches, players, they all kind of run?
Yeah, I mean, we're an engineering innovation company at the heart of who we are, and basically one of the core things that we do all the time is listen to our customers and look at what the most meaningful, measurements are. I mean, we're a company that measures things, and that collaborates and integrates into solutions. So In fact, those of you who want to stop by our booth, we're previewing sort of another level of innovation we're doing to add more metrics in that we believe all of you are going to value. This particular set right now is hitting that we're going to expand on. So rather than just having the pocket-sized radar gun that does one measurement, you're going to see there's 4 other metrics that you can pull off of hitting that we're going to look at next. And once again, trying to bring that to all of you at disruptive, affordable prices sometime this year. So come check it out. And as we develop those new metrics and new innovative ways to measure the ball, we're going to always work with our partners to make sure those innovations make their way into the other platforms as well, to extend that, once again, that 1 + 1 = 5 paradigm. The more measurements we can do in convenient, usable ways, the better it's going to make all the other platforms of the companies that we partner with as well. So that's continuous innovation is sort of in our DNA, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
And Steve and Neil, really, what are some of the things you guys are hearing from the field as you guys continue to innovate? Excuse me. You guys continue to innovate, release products, put more stuff out there. What are you hearing from your stakeholders? I mean, both of you guys are sharp, innovative people. You're building to the market. What are you hearing?
So going back to the whole reason why SkillShark was designed, it's about the 2 primary benefits that we've seen from our customers are, one, that we save them a huge amount of time, not having to do data entry twice, once on the paper, and then being that unfortunate person that spends hours putting it into a spreadsheet to try to make sense of it. So we save organizations like these guys hundreds of hours over the usage. And the next big thing is for the athletes and the parents. So everybody here, I'm going to guess, probably grew up playing baseball. When you were growing up playing baseball, how often did you ever get a report card saying, here's what you did well, but here's what you need to work on? Okay, very few, one hand out of about 50. And that's pretty typical. So the drawbacks to that, there is a stat that many of you may not know, and that's out of all kids that start playing youth sports, by age 13, 70% stop. And in the top reasons, one of those reasons is that they just don't have any confidence that they play the sport well. So speaking as a coach, regardless of how much verbal reassurance I give a kid throughout the season, 98% goes in one ear and out the other ear as soon as they hop into mom and dad's minivan. They just don't retain it. So now with SkillShark and tools like Pocket Radar and SkillShark integrating together, providing them a concrete report card, and not only a report card, but also automatically provided developmental videos as to how to improve. If a kid scored lower than blanket of 10 on hitting mechanics, automatically assign an age-appropriate video that gets tagged on the kid's report card. A fantastic way to provide feedback. So it's, yeah.
Alex alluded to it a little bit earlier within his program, but yeah, like I can speak to the time that this has saved me, but also on the back end of it, like I can feel a lot better. I'm running my travel ball organization's tryouts right now between January 3rd and the 10th. And not only does it save me time, but I can actually feel good about having the player attend my tryout and knowing that they're going to walk away with something. So at the end of the tryout, and Alex, like that's the part that I was trying to get to. He alluded to it a little bit earlier with the development side. So if a player comes to my travel ball organization's tryout this week and fails, we're going to give him a report card that says, look, your hitting metrics were especially low. Everything else seems to be like on par, but here are some things that you can work on. And then next year I can have them back to my tryouts and we'll be able to evaluate and see if they actually got better in that area. That, or I can even use it to try to drive my marketing. So I can say, look, we can set up a weekly pitching lesson for you over the next 8 weeks, and that'll help you, start to achieve what you're looking to do. So it's helped me in time and in money.
One more thing I was going to add to that too, in terms of what we've heard, is if you're an academy or a sport program that is competing with other programs in your area, just put yourself in the shoes of, if you're a parent and you get concrete feedback report cards from one program and no feedback other than verbal from another, you're going to find that the people are going to tend to use the one that's giving them information. So the thing that we keep hearing is that it provides such a competitive edge against any program that they're competing against in the geography. That's also to the point. Actually, I remember getting a testimonial from a customer saying, I don't even want to tell other coaches in my area about it because this is my competitive edge, which is kind of a compliment, I guess. Yeah.
I feel like that feedback is so critical, especially at a young age. I mean, you guys are both in the business of providing those actionable insights to ball players and, more importantly, their families, right? And on the business side of things, I mean, that's the glue that eases retention, I feel like. To that comment before about how many of you actually received a report card growing up, that was typically delivered verbally in the back of an SUV on the way home from a game after going over. But no, if you guys could talk about that a little bit, I mean, that's been something I know at Pocket Radar. I've heard that time and time again about the feedback, that whether it's the hardware or it's the software integration, I mean, the game is based on feedback. And I've always known this sport to be something where if you can't assess, if you can't understand where you are and where you need to go, I mean, you're kind of flying blind right there. So Steve, you want to talk a little bit about how the technology helps to provide that feedback?
Yeah, glad to do that. One of the things is I was that kid that played Little League one season, then on the bench is where I spent most of my time. So it's sort of ironic that I'm building sports technology now. But what I've learned through all of you great folks and all the athletes is that meaningful feedback was missing, and that's what I got loud and clear over the years. We've been doing this with our partners as well. That accurate, quantitative information that gives you a roadmap, effectively, like whether it's a tryout is the first time you see it, or whether it's a coach or a private lesson, showing that, well, this is where I started and this is where I got, with some absolute objective information, not the subjective opinion like, you're doing better, kid, that's great. Well, how do you act on that? That was the problem I started to see, is that, wait, what we do, the more accurate and easy to use that our technology is with our partners, the more we can provide that roadmap, that journey, whether it be, and as you all know, whether it's that individual athlete's journey, whether it's the team's journey, whether it's the parent investing in their child correctly as they're coming up when they're young, where do I spend that precious money? And how do I know that money I've invested is actually showing up? Well, I love hearing from people that own academies that, well, I can show a parent that those thousands of dollars they invested, actually, here's a report card. You started here. It could even be in the context of a camp or a clinic. You started here, we work with your kid today, and look at where he got today. And then here's still some areas you can work on. It just finally gives visibility. Where you were blind, now you can see. I mean, that's a cliche, but it applies here for sure. And that's what we really pride ourselves on doing, giving that sight.
And I'm sure you guys see it every day, Jordan and Alex, with like the actual players. I know with Pocket Radar, one of the things I've seen it used a lot, and guys just generally get excited about is doing pull downs, for example, which might be a little bit older or whatnot. But talk to me a little bit about the players. Like when they get that report card from SkillShark, or they potentially log into the Pocket Radar sports app and they look and they see their data progressing as they grow, or as they get better, as they train with guys like you. I mean, how empowering is that to a player and their family to have tangible data right there in front of their faces?
Well, yeah, that's just it. Luke, you asked a little bit earlier, like how technology is changing how we go about this development. And that's just it, is like Pocket Radar is that immediate feedback, which I've found over a decade of coaching in youth sports, that athletes are changing. And, young players, they want that immediate feedback. They want to know how hard they throw. They want to know how hard they hit it. And so Pocket Radar being able to deliver that immediately is obviously, number one, amazing. But then being able to now integrate that into SkillShark, into an actual deliverable and a report card, it goes to the 1 + 1 = 5, right? When you start putting those two things together. So you had spoken about pull downs. We do pull downs weekly, like a plyo velo care program with our guys, and week over week. So every Thursday we test it, and it goes directly from our Pocket Radar into our app. now they have a report card. And with it being Christmas time right now, like last week, I developed report cards for every single one of my players. It proved our value as an academy for this entire first semester, because I was able to give the parents something to look at that said, okay, this is how much he's developed in the first 5 months of the program. So number one, the kids are getting the immediate feedback on the floor right there. They want to see that LED screen. They want to see that. But then I use the report cards to be able to show the parents exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it, and that the development needle is continuing to move. So using technology like this is pretty integral, I think, in today's day and age, to try to keep the kids interested as well as keep the parents, positive about their experience.
And Alex, how is it on your side of the ball, like with the work that you're doing up in North Dakota?
Yeah. So for us, so if a kid doesn't make one of our travel teams, they go into our recreation program. And so if anything, it's been motivating for our players. And so like when a player doesn't make one of our teams, that's when the phone calls start coming in, right? So now we're having one-on-one sessions with parents, and that's never fun for those that have had to do that. But I always ask to have the player come in when the parent wants to come talk, so I can talk directly to the player. And then, like, if you go through ours is basically just for the trials, not necessarily the camps and stuff like that. But we do the video, and so like you have the player's name in there, you have the video, it uploads to their account, and now I can go through the video with that parent and that player, talk to them and let them know, hey, this is one of the reasons why you didn't make this team. Now you utilize it to your benefit and get better, so the next year you can make it. And that's happened a couple of times with our players. They get cut, and then they got cut from the B team even, and now they jumped up to the A that next year just because they got that feedback and they were able to work on certain areas of their game.
Awesome. Steve and Neil, do you guys want to talk a little bit about just, I guess, some of the economic elements of the technology you guys are coming out with, like how? Yeah,
I'll start on that. First, a small comment on that one. It reminded me that one of the things I've heard over the years from everybody that's been using our system is coaches and people that are having those difficult conversations with that athlete or that parent. Having objective data makes that conversation neutral and benign rather than emotional and subjective. And I forgot that. I've heard that countless times now, is that you can look at a piece of data and show where you stack rank against the other people that made it. And there's very little emotion around that. It's like, okay, I understand. It's like grades in school. I got a C and I need to work up to get that B or that A. And so that is like, from a practical point of view, I forgot how often I hear that is thank you for making an accurate measurement technology, because I've stopped all the arguing. I can just talk about how to progress, how to move forward, and not waste all this energy on emotion. And I forgot, I've probably heard that thousands of times over 16 years. But cost for us, because of, like I said earlier, switching the topic to, when I say democratize technology, my ultimate dream would be to give it away, at some minimal ongoing subscription would be the ultimate dream, so that everybody can have it. So I keep looking at cost as one of the things that drives us tremendously, because reality is, there's not infinite money to go around for anybody. So the lower and lower we can make our technology, and I'm sure Neil feels the same, the better, the more we're going to be able to spread that advantage around and help more people get to the place they want to get to achieve their dreams.
On the economics side of things, we've right from day one, no joking around, we always wanted it to be incredibly affordable so that, programs like the one I was coaching could afford it. We're not charging $100 a year. It's like $5 a player per year kind of thing. So it's really affordable, and the other thing, and this ties in with the previous question about what have we heard, which ties in with the economics as well, is a lot of the programs, again, go back to the days when you were growing up playing baseball. Did you ever receive a report card? So now we actually have a lot of customers that are using SkillShark as a revenue generator for their program, because they'll say, hey, guess what, parents? Registration fees didn't go up $1. Oh, but by the way, we're going to be using this software called SkillShark, which integrates to Pocket Radar. And if you do want a report card, it'll be $20 or $25 or whatever they feel like charging. And now SkillShark is not even costing them anything. It's saving them buckets of time, and they're making money on it. So it's been a big change. And also on the economic side, I would talk about data transparencies not going away. Like parents these days, they expect to get these types of reports, concrete data from Pocket Radar and SkillShark. They're expecting that more and more. Doesn't matter what sport you're playing. If you provide feedback, concrete feedback reports that builds up a kid's confidence, that goes to curbing that 70% drop off by age 13. I guarantee if you provide concrete report cards, the kid's confidence to come back and register for the sport the following year absolutely increases, which only helps your registration fees and keeps kids playing sports, which means a whole lot to me for personal reasons. But yeah, it's a great economic benefit from using technologies like this.
Yeah, one more comment on that topic. I deal with a lot of organizations, whether they're schools or private academy owners, where economics is top of mind. Because sadly, what I hear more often than not is that my organization's sinking financially, or my business is sinking. Sadly, I have some facilities right in the neighborhood where our corporate headquarters are, and I've seen this one facility go bankrupt multiple times and new owners move in. And so this sadly is the truth about whether it's, a private academy or a school that is not funded well and has to use summer camps and clinics and to raise money and funds to keep the program alive, is that is one of those favorite things. I love to work with owners or leaders in those organizations to illustrate how you can do some of the stuff Neil's talking about and actually take technology and turn it into higher value for the same price, or create new revenue streams and value to effectively keep the lights on. And that is a reality we all face. And so it's another dimension of how I think what we do can help people out there, than for not just the athlete, but those stakeholders around that athlete that are trying to help that athlete. We have to help everybody, including the athlete. And economics is a real part of that.
I've definitely respected the commitment to making the game more affordable, making player development more affordable on both of your parts. How does that tie into things for you guys? Like when you guys are looking at technology, you're looking at cost, obviously. You're looking at what the potential return on something would be, whether you're using it in a paid for camp, clinic context, or it's just something that you're looking at internalizing for the program. I mean, how does that factor into your player development operations?
As a nonprofit, it's big for us. We can't subsidize other people's experience for somebody else's. And so like with the rates that you guys provided, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to move forward with this relationship. And it helps. And now we don't have to, let's face it, youth sports is turning into a country club sport. That's just the nature of it. And what you guys are doing is it helps us little people move on and try to compete with the big dogs in the area. So.
Yeah, I can say that firsthand, like what Steve had mentioned about like higher quality for the same price, is that I found what I was paying in labor and keeping my coaches for 2 or 3 hours around after an evaluation to help me complete the evaluation process, choosing teams. When I eliminate that labor from my cost, it totally justifies the $5 per player that it takes to have the evaluation done immediately. So I'm actually probably saving money on labor by having the process automated and by leveraging technology and the amazing partnerships that we have here on stage. So.
And then a quick question for Neil here. What sort of innovation do we have coming down the pipeline? Anything that you want to talk about?
Yeah, we've got an amazing thing that we just launched recently a couple of weeks ago, and it's and this is going to be our first delving into the AI modeling world. So if you think about traditionally, if you're doing baseball tryouts or even as an academy, evaluating kids, in the past, it's always been a subjective thing, how well you think the kid's hitting mechanics are, or pitching mechanics, that kind of thing. Now with SkillShark, you can take a video of the kid in the box taking some cuts, and it'll automatically analyze the video and provide that kid with an objective score as to how well they did based on their kinematic sequence of legs, trunk, shoulders, hand speed. It'll measure stride length automatically and provide all that kind of material on the kids' report card so that they can learn from it and just be better informed about how to improve. So we're starting off with the hitting module, then we're getting into the pitching mechanics module, and it's just going to keep growing from there.
Fantastic, Steve.
Yeah, I think that this thing about AI is going to be something that I can't wait to participate in the sense that we're sort of the engine in the center of it all, making the core measurements. And as we work with partners, I hear that across a lot of partners is that, once again, playing into harnessing the AI is, one of those controversial topics, but I'm an optimist about it. I think it's about, sort of allowing everybody to work at a higher level of efficiency. So if you use it right, it does the heavy lifting of some of the basic analysis to assist a coach or a stakeholder in giving more meaningful, more abstract, high-level advice, or the technology itself gives the advice. So I think that's something in the future that, we're going to be probably harnessing more through our partners. And then, like I said, make sure you come by our booth in terms of we're advancing our measurements to be, more advanced, more complete, more thorough, more measurements in general. And like I said, you can see some of it going on with hitting right now, and come take a cut and see how you can measure 4 metrics off your hit. And like I said, that we hope can also help power more of these AI engines and other platforms to get even better insights. Looks like we have a little time for some questions from the audience.
Awesome. So we'll conclude some of the questions up here on the panel right there. Does anybody from the audience have any questions about anything that we've spoken about today?
If you already have the Smart Pro coach with your new innovations, how will that work? How will we be able to upgrade to that and that type of thing? Plus, if we don't have the SkillShark piece, how could that all tie, I guess, is my question.
So I'll answer them separately. One of our intentions with this newer technology you'll see is that for those of you that have already invested in that Smart Coach Radar, the newer one that connects to our app, our intention is to keep adding these enhanced capabilities, probably with some sort of modest, affordable fee for the capabilities as is fair. So if you already have a Smart Coach, then you're all set, and an iPhone, then you're good to go for this version of the technology. And then I'm sure Neil, if you go by his booth, he will probably give you a good little lesson on how that integrates in and how it might marry up to what we do. I'm sure he'd demo it to you.
We got one up here in the front.
So I want to thank you and give an example of why I'm grateful that that Pocket Radar is out there. I had a 12-year-old kid, never played baseball before, walked onto my little league team. He threw about 25 miles an hour, and it was in a random direction. And he would get upset when things went badly, and he had a hard time. And the team worked with him, and I worked with him a lot, and we kept using the Pocket Radar, and his velocity went up. And so that by the end of the season, he was throwing 33 miles an hour. It was thrown in the direction he intended to throw to a player on our team. And, it's just an amazing thing. And now he's 15, and he's still playing baseball. He wouldn't have been playing baseball if someone else had coached him and he hadn't had Pocket Radar. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing.
That is why I am doing what I'm doing for those stories. Thank you.
We got any other questions out there? Or any cool stories?
I think one of the problems with when you get the data is being able to basically distill it down. And is that what you guys are finding, is that a lot of the data that really is hard to interpret, you can interpret better with the use of that program? Because the distillation is what's hard.
It's very hard. Yeah. I used to take my spreadsheets with my week over week testing, and I used to have to send them off to a specialist that would help me input the right formulas so that I could track percentage of development week over week. And now with the SkillShark technology, that's all being done for me, so that saves me time and effort in being able to do that. And it does take like instead of having to week over week compare your spreadsheets and put formulas in, it just does it for me. So I'm able to say, you've increased your throwing velocity by 7% over the last 8 weeks, and this is how you've done it, type of thing. So it's definitely made my life a lot easier in that sense.
Well, thank you everybody for attending our talk. Hopefully there was a few nuggets that you learned from this, and I think that sports technology is here to stay, and I think the key for us and those who use it is to keep working together so that it is useful and provides value, and it's not just technology or data for the sake of technology or data. But thanks all of you for attending, and thank you, Luke, for keeping us moving forward. That's
All
it.
right.